acompañar un nuevo fin de semana más esta temporada, el último de este año. Efectivamente nos da mucha pena, pero lo vamos a disfrutar al máximo, eso seguro. Y ya veis, ya estamos en esta primera carrera del fin de semana en la Copa Clio, que como bien decías, Cristian, tanto esta Clio como Eurocup 3 como la Fórmula 4 buscan campeón. Yo creo que es casi lo nunca visto llegar a la última carrera de la temporada con todos los campeonatos pendientes de sentenciarse con ese título. Estamos ahora mismo al lado de la posición de Anthony Jurado en esta Copa Clio, que será quien defienda esta pole position, esta primera posición para esta primera carrera del fin de semana de la Copa Clio. Y ojo, porque tenemos una muy buena temperatura en el ambiente. Esto es novedad, si me permitís, porque todos los años cuando hacemos esta conexión suelo decir que hace mucho frío, tenemos abrigos, bufandas, y este año hace muy buen clima, quizá un poco de más para lo que estamos acostumbrados y para lo que quizá tendría que ser. 18 grados ahora mismo en el ambiente, que se mantendrán cielo nublado, pero pista seca. Por ahí hemos visto ya también hace un ratito montar para la F4 y para la Eurocup neumáticos de lluvia, pero previsiblemente no los usarán, se van a quedar ahí seguramente. Así que nada, Cristian, te lo dejo todo porque empezamos en breve, aquí quedan menos de 5 minutos para que comience la carrera.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Clio Cup Series. Welcome to northeastern Spain. Yes, we are here at Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya for the final round of the Clio Cup Series. My name is Jack Werrell and I'll be running you through all of the racing action here this weekend. And you heard it right, the time has finally come for the Clio Cup Series season finale. The Clio Cup Europe, Clio Cup España, Clio Cup France grids all come together for the final time this year to wrap up what has been an exceptionally intense season with an imposing field of 38 cars here at the finale. The drivers will battle it out to claim the many crowns still up for grabs. Running you through how they line up, Anthony Jurado lines up on pole position with Clio Cup Mid-Europe champion for 2023, Gabriele Torelli alongside, Clio Cup Series champion and Clio Cup Europe Championship hopeful David Puget will line up in third with Luca Franca alongside. Then it is Jordi Palomas and newly returned Alexander Finkelstein, a new dad to the championship. Florian Coible lines up in P7 with Nicolas Milan P8, and Damiano Pacetti and Adrian Schimpf round out your top 10 starters. On to row 6 of the grid, it is Pierre Bradot and Thomas Pekar, followed then by Alexandro Albui, Alejandro Schimpf. Christian Ricciarini lines up in 15th with Guillaume Mayo in 16th. Jacopo Giuseppe Ximenez lines up in 17th with Stefan Polderman 18th. Julian Bazarai lines up in 19th with René Stiemetz rounding out your top 20. Florian Venturi is starting 21st. 22nd is Alex Royal. Fabien Julia and Lionel Vigueur start 23rd and 24th, and it is Ludovico Longini, Jeremy Bordegai, followed then by David Pajot, and then it is Venice Schunke, Alejandro Romeo and Benjamin Kovas that round out your top 30. And onto the final 8 cars, we have Jean-Louis Carposin, followed then by Calvin Comte, on Samuel Chalin, Guerre Rostand, Lydia Samper and Joaquin Rodrigo is starting in 37th, the final driver to have classified times in qualifying, and Mikel Fay, as of a steward's decision, has had his times deleted and will start from the very back row of the grid. But drivers to watch out for naturally has to be Clio Cup Series champion David Puget. He comes in to the final round with a 41-point lead in Clio Cup Europe. But as we mentioned, the Clio Cup Mid-Europe champion, Gabriele Torelli, is the only driver that can deny him that crown. But David obviously will only need to score 10 points today to seal the deal. But going off qualifying, Gabriele Torelli has just about got the edge. Gabriele only 0.003 of a second slower than Anthony Jurado, so what, 0.004 away from pole position. David Puget just over a 10th back, so it's going to be close in that top 3. Jurado's been getting quicker throughout the season. Torelli, we obviously know his pace. He shone at Monza earlier on in the season and has just been continuing that form throughout. David Puget is one of those usual names up there. He's been waiting so long for that championship and finally he's got it. Luca Franca is really starting to pick up the pace. He starts P4. Alex Finkelstein, let's see what he can do from 6th place. Obviously new dad, he will want to show off to little Noah at home and show him what dad does best. Nicolas Milan down in 8th, again a usual contender for those top 10, usually top 6 places. Adrian Schimpf, the first of the Schimpf twins, starts in 10th. Who have we got maybe slightly further down that you can expect a bit of movement from? Let's have a quick look. Usually Alexandre Albuy, he's starting in 13th place. He could potentially work his way a little bit higher up the order. Usually we saw him at Paul Ricard pick up a podium and was helping David Pouget out quite substantially. The car's heading out onto their green flag warming up lap, so they've got a bit of time to build some heat into their Michelin Pilot Sport Cup tyres. All of these Renault Clio RS line cars run a Renault HR13 engine, so it's a 4-cylinder turbocharged, and they all produce around about 200 brake horsepower with 300 newton meters of torque, so not slow by any means necessary. And an unladen weight, obviously without fuel and driver, they weigh just very marginally over 1 tonne, so very light with plenty of power, and of course that turbo keeps going down the slope as well. So if you are new to the Clio Cup Series itself, it has sort of 5 separate standings within. It's got Clio Cup Europe, Clio Cup Italia, Clio Cup France, Clio Cup Mid-Europe, and Clio Cup España. So there are, of course, 4 regional titles and a European title all to be claimed, but within that we also have cups as well. So we've got the Challengers Cup and the Racers Cup. Challengers Cup is for the drivers between 16 and 25 years old as of January the 1st this year, or drivers over 26 years old but with a minimum of 10 Clio Cup meetings experience. The Racers Cup is for drivers over 26 years old, having less than 10 meetings experience, or having never achieved a better result than 5th in the overall standings. So it is there's lots of potential for lots of winning in the Clio Cup Series. Say if you want to race in 2, you can race in 1 regional and Clio Cup Europe, or if you just want to race in 1, you can pick out your regional. And again, you've got a slight choice in terms of which cup you would like to enter in the Clio Cup Series in 2023. Lots to look forward to for the Clio Cup Series in 2024. Of course, Clio Cup itself is ever expanding. Next year we'll have Clio Cup Europe, naturally, with Italia, France, Mid-Europe and España, and the recently announced Clio Cup GB as well. That is making a return. So Renault really do know what they're doing when it comes to putting on a show in modern motorsport. So the 9 race meetings have pretty much been ticked off for the Clio Cup Series. The 9 European point scoring rounds have almost been ticked off, this being the very final one of the year. And the drivers we naturally need to watch are the ones we mentioned earlier, Gabriele Torelli and David Pouget. David needs to finish in front to obviously maintain that margin, but if he wanted to be crowned Clio Cup Europe champion to go along with his Clio Cup Series championship, he would need to finish 10 points in front, which in the position he is, he would need to win, and Torelli would need to drop down. So I mean, stranger things have happened at sea, so we could potentially see a lot of changes, but Gabriele Torelli, after his performance on home soil at Imola just a couple of weeks ago, we know he's got the pace, the confidence and the momentum behind him if he wishes to bring the fight to David Pouget. He's got a lot of points to make up and would have to hope for some sort of substantial mistake, as everybody is just coming around onto the grid now. The, as ever, capacity grid is taking its time to work its way through, because whilst pole sitter Anthony Girardo is already stationary in his pit box, you can look right the way back to almost the penultimate corner at Europcar. We've got Michael Fay still working his way through there, so all of that heat in the tyres and the brakes that Girardo has worked so hard to put in will all be dissipating the longer he is sat in that pole position spot. So Alex Finkelstein one to watch. What can he do now? He's back into the swing of things, and even with 2 rounds off, 3 rounds off almost, he finds himself starting P6, and you'd expect him to work his way forward. Stefan Polderman works his way into position, so too does Julien Bazarai. René Steemet's eager to get going, but he's left a lot of room between the front of his car and the pit box of which he would like to be in almost. Michael Fay just working his way into his pit box as well, and very shortly we will get this race underway. The first race of the weekend. We do go racing once again tomorrow at around about 10 to 3 local time, 20 to 3 local time, but that is tomorrow. Today the green flag is waved at the tail end of the order, the red lights come on, and as they extinguish, who gets the best start? It's a poor start from David Pouget, already trying to work his way through and past is Jordi Palomas. They work their way down towards turn 1, so Jordi Palomas up the inside of Luca Franca. Downhill they will go. You've got to brake early. Already coming over to defend is Anthony Girardo. David Pouget got a much better second phase of the start, and he's drawn himself up and alongside Gabriele Torelli. Down into turn 1 they will go. Cars squirming around, and the top 3 just about make it through line astern. Everybody else is all vying for the positions. We've got a car spun in the middle of the field. That looks like Luca Franca after what was a dream start. We've had a couple of cars take to the escape road as well. Nicolas Milan still fighting away with Milan competition teammate Jordi Palomas. There's a couple of other cars in on the mix as well, but heading towards what is Repsol for the first time. Gabriele Torelli late on the brakes, dives up the inside and picks up the lead of the race from Anthony Girardo. So the pole sitter already down into second, and David Pouget is making his intentions known. A car goes towards the gravel. Hopefully it doesn't make it to the Armco barrier, and hopefully they manage to keep that car going. But now David Pouget is under pressure from the car behind. That is the car that went off. So number 4, Julien Bazarai, it looked like he might have just about made the wall, but kept the car going. So Gabriele Torelli in the lead. Anthony Girardo finds himself in second place. David Pouget has got a bit of work to do if he wants to catch up onto the coattails of the cars up the road. Jordi Palomas is pushing very hard and goes for a trip through the gravel. So too do a number of other cars behind. Adrian Schimpf works his way up into 9th place. Due to the demise of one of the starting cars. We believe it to be Luca Franca. We'll wait for that to be confirmed as they come through. Going down the straight for the first time on the exit of Kamsa, there's a lot of cars running wide, spitting dust up into the air, and the safety car has been deployed, so somebody hasn't managed to get going again. Maybe Luca Franca. We saw him pointing the wrong way. There's a bit of heat soak got into that car. He's been unable to get it started, so the safety car, the Renault Megane RS safety car, comes out for the first time this weekend. And no, it is the treble 9 of Orn that finds himself in the gravel. That looks like potentially halfway through Repsol, so you've already worked your way through the first chicane, the very aptly named long right-hander at Renault, and then it is the short burst to the uphill right-hander at Repsol. That looks like Orn may have been helped towards the gravel. So Torelli, he's done everything he needs to do. He's got to the front, and that will remain the thorn in the side of David Pouget, because he's still in 3rd place, and ideally he'd want to outscore Gabriele Torelli at the moment, but the exact opposite is happening. So the clean-up operation is underway. The brilliant Catalunya marshals already on the scene, looking to get Orn's car out of the gravel and either behind some Armco barrier, or if you can drive it round to the pit lane, so be it. But the Megane safety car has picked up Gabriele Torelli. Of course, this being a 25-minute race plus 1 lap, as have all the races throughout this season. We saw a brilliant race at Paul Ricard just over a month ago, heading into the night, and it was everything that you'd expect from night racing. You were sort of picking between headlights and taillights, trying to figure out exactly where people were, and the lead was decided, or the win was decided, on the final lap. At the very final corner, we saw Nicolas Milan up onto 2 wheels, David Pouget washed wide, and Orn has managed to get himself going again, so maybe with a bit of assistance from the Catalunya marshals, he's out of the gravel and continues on. So he will make his way presumably down towards Seat. Look at the gravel flying out the underside of that car, so drivers will have to bear that in mind as they work their way through there the next time, because that will all get stuck onto the gravel, or onto the tyres, all of that gravel that's been deposited. He'll replay the start. Torelli gets a brilliant start, so too does Jordi Palomas, but it doesn't seem to work for him. David Pouget jinks out early, clearly gets the car hooked up for the second phase of the start. We did see Julien Bazarai head right the way towards the gravel and eventually just about nicked the wall, but by this point Torelli was already in the lead. There is Julien Bazarai rejoining the circuit as quickly as he could. Little to our knowledge, Orn was already in the gravel, just sat behind. So we keep an eye on that Renault Megane RS safety car. As and when the amber flashing lights on the roof are extinguished, we should be able to go back racing. You'd imagine it would be this lap. So they're just working their way now through Kamsa, and then down the straight they will go to Lekaya, which is what used to be the very tight left-hand hairpin, but has since been reprofiled, allows drivers to carry a little bit more speed on the way through. And the sort of angle of the corner has been very slightly diminished, meaning that you can let the car wash wide and carry a bit more speed. So the Renault Megane RS safety car has extinguished its lights, and we will be able to go racing once again. So after a very brief safety car period, Gabriele Torelli will start this race with 20, maybe 19 minutes plus 1 lap to go. That's a lot of work, because there are a lot of cars behind that will be wanting to work their way into the lead, and it looks like he's gone already. He's gone very, very early indeed. David Pouget does respond, but Anthony Girardot maybe responds the better of the two. So let's have a quick look. Yes, Girardot's all over his tail as they work their way through the final corner, through New Holland, back down the start-finish straight they will go. And Girardot is getting closer and closer and closer. The draft assistance very much playing its part at the moment. We'll keep an eye on David Pouget to see whether he catches up to that lead duo. There's a couple of cars jinking out in the background, all trying to make up a couple of places, a couple of them being the GM Sport cars, but Torelli remains in the lead as they head down towards turn one. Girardot all over his tail. David Pouget a little bit further back than I'm sure what he would want to be. That's because he's being hounded by Jordi Palomas. Nicolas Millat not too far behind, but Jordi Palomera does have his teammate just sat behind, so they might be able to work together and work away from Damiano Puccetti. Florian Kuble not really too far away at all. Biggest movers and shakers, Alex Finkelstein has dropped down 6 places, unfortunately, from where he started. The biggest gain in the field does go the way of Christian Ricciarini, up 5 places from where he started, right the way up into 10th place at the moment. Gabriele Torelli still just about in the lead, but Girardot really starting to fill his rear view mirror. David Pouget doing what he can to work away from Jordi Palomeras. They head through Worth once again. Quite a tight uphill chicane. You've got to watch the curb on the exit. Make sure you don't dip a wheel into the gravel. And it's a very quick off-camber right-hander at Kamsa onto the back straight. You've really got to maximise the run that you get through there as they head down towards the tight left-hander once again. Gabriele Torelli is still just about hanging on to the lead. David Pouget remains there in 3rd place. There are the 2 Milan competition cars, one being Jordi Palomera, the second being the team owner Nicolas Millat, multiple Clio Cup Series champion, so his experience almost gulfs the rest of the field. There is on down in the pit lane. Unfortunately, as you'd expect, that car is into retirement. Gabriele Torelli, a very wide line in towards the final corner, trying to open the corner up as much as possible, up onto 3 wheels as he lifts the inside rear wheel, as stiffly sprung as these Renault Clio Cup cars are. Torelli ticks another lap in the book, and the fastest lap of the race as well. Girardot still sat there in 2nd place. David Pouget in 3rd. We're side by side a little bit further back. It looks like Alejandro Schimpf trying to work his way through and past Alex Finkelstein in the background. So the last lap you can see Girardot lost around about a 10th as they crossed the line, but with that aerodynamic assistance down the start-finish straight, it meant that Girardot could close back up by the time they got towards turn 1. Jordi Palomera all over the tail of David Pouget. Nicolas Millat washes slightly wide. He's not managed to shake off the attentions of Damiano Puccetti. Florian Kuble in the background, the cork in the bottle, 3 wide as we head down towards Repsol once again. Trying to pick out exactly who that is. It looks like Adrian Schimpf potentially has worked his way up into 7th place. We'll wait for that to be confirmed as they come through in the background. We couldn't quite see that. We've had another car into the pit lane, unfortunately. Can't quite pick out exactly who that is, but Gabriele Torelli still leading from Girardot. David Pouget not too far away, but if anything, he's losing time to those top 2 and falling into the clutches of Jordi Palomera in the background. Yes, Adrian Schimpf has managed to work his way into what is 7th place, albeit with a bit of damage on the tail end of that car. Christian Ricciarini in 8th, followed then by Pierre Bredot, and then Florian Kuble picks up 10th place after Alex Alboui just went for a brief trip through the gravel. Thomas Pekar finds himself in 12th place, and the second of the Schimpf twins, Alejandro Schimpf, down in 13th, who did manage to work his way through and past Alex Finkelstein, who is dropping like a stone in the early stages of this race. A little bit of a lock-up there from the 107 of Christian Ricciarini. That puts him back into the grasp of Pierre Bredot. In the lead of the race, Gabriele Torelli has just extended that margin ever further at the moment. He's got, 3 or 4 car lengths back to Anthony Girardot now. You can see that as they work their way through the final corner, that gap visually has massively come out, and that will mean that Anthony Girardot won't have the same aerodynamic assistance he had on the lap prior as they head down the start-finish straight. So they cross the line once again. Gabriele Torelli undoubtedly with another fastest lap of the race. David Pouget still sat there in 3rd. However, he does have Jordi Palomera just sat behind within half a second. Nicolas Millat within half a second back of there. Damiano Puccetti doing a brilliant job. Sat there in 6th place and continuing to close up at the moment. Car number 21, that is Stefan Polderman. He's the leading Racers Cup driver at the moment, down in 17th place. René Stiemetz second in the Racers Cup in 18th, and it is Lionel Vigueur down in 21st. That would round out, if we were to finish now, the Racers podium. the leading Challengers Cup driver at the moment is Jordi Palomeras, and he's trying to work his way not only into and almost contain the lead of the Challengers Cup, but work his way onto the overall podium as well, because he's starting to apply ever more pressure to David Puget. Damiano Puccetti in the number 43, he is currently sat second in the Challengers Cup, and Adrian Schimpf, who has only been going forward, he started 10th, he's up into 7th already, is Adrian. He's third in the Challengers Cup at the moment, but Torelli has lost a little bit of time since the start of this lap back to Anthony Girardo with, 15 minutes plus 1 lap to go. He's got a lot of work to do and will have to minimise any sort of mistakes and keep his laps clean and concise. David Puget, last time through, set his personal fastest lap of the race, a 2-minute 1.227. Gabriele Torelli still sits at the top in terms of timing, but you can see just how close Anthony Girardo is getting as they brake hard in towards the left-hander at Locaia. It means that Girardo is starting to put that lead back under pressure of Gabriele Torelli. Jordi Palomeras still sat there in 4th place. Nicolas Millau almost playing the team game at the moment. He's keeping that all-important one car between Jordi Palomeras and Damiano Puccetti, because it means Nicolas Millau will secure a top 5 if he were to finish now, and Jordi Palomeras would remain in the lead of the Racers' Cup. He wouldn't want his teammate to drop back into the clutches of a driver, which potentially costs him a Racers' Cup win. They work their way down towards turn 1. David Puget is almost bridging the gap between the top 2 and everybody else thereafter. It's a one-way train as we cross the line. Everybody's fairly equidistantly spread. What of Alex Finkelstein? He's down into 14th place now, so he's only dropping further and further down, is Alex, which is such a shame. Nicolas Millau has worked his way up into 4th place. Yes, he has. So just as I mentioned, he might have been playing the team game. Nicolas Millau up into 4th place. Jordi Palomeras, his teammate, down into 5th. He is still leading the Challengers Cup. So for the moment, Jordi Palomeras will remain in the lead of the Challengers Cup. However, he does have Damiano Puccetti just sat behind. That was the change for position down into turn 1. Nicolas Millau jumped up the inside later on the brakes. No major defence as you'd expect from Palomeras. But Damiano Puccetti, he's now a step closer to a Challengers Cup win, whilst he doesn't have the luminous green C sticker in the rear view, or in the rear window. He is a Challengers Cup driver. Gabriele Torelli is still just about there in the lead, managing the gap quite nicely to Girardo. They work their way down the back straight once again. As we look up from the monitor, where we're lucky enough to see them out of the window, much closer on the brakes is Girardo. He really starts to close up. A look up the inside, but couldn't quite force the door open. David Puget will be watching this and rubbing his hands together, because it means he could potentially work his way up and closer to that top 2 and maybe onto a higher step of the podium. Jordi Palomeras is starting to feel the pressure from Damiano Puccetti for Ragoni course. You can see he's second in the Challengers Cup and getting closer to Palomeras at the moment. You'll see a lot of 3-wheel action in these Clio Cup cars as well, as they're so stiffly sprung. That inside rear wheel just lifts off the ground as you load the car up into a corner, and the top 6 go through, and then it is a field of cars led by Adrian Schimpf for the moment, because looking at the inside of Adrian Schimpf is Christian Ricciarini. They head their way down towards turn 1, so it's Adrian Schimpf in 7th. Christian Ricciarini potentially up into 7th place, hustled all the way towards the grass is I think that could have been Pierre Bradot that got hustled towards the grass. Yes, it was. So Adrian Schimpf has to take to the escape road and cut the corner very slightly, which he does there, and then will rejoin and maintain 7th place for the moment. Christian Ricciarini, after fighting his way forward, remains in 8th place. Pierre Bradot nearly found himself on the grass and remains in 9th place. Florian Cohubler rounds out your top 10 at the moment, but Christian Ricciarini not too far away at all. Florian Cohubler with a bit of work to do as well. He's been getting quicker and quicker as the season wears on, but can't quite escape that pack and work his way up towards the front. And there we see a change of position. Pierre Bradot, he dipped a wheel onto the grass after being hustled there down towards turn 1, decides to make use of it in towards Seat, and as he dives up the inside, struggles to get the car slowed down, goes into the side of Adrian Schimpf. So it is now in 7th place Pierre Bradot, with Adrian Schimpf down to 8th. Florian Cohubler, just as I mentioned, he's got a bit of work to do, picks up a place into 9th. Christian Ricciarini finds himself in 10th place. Let's get a replay. So Pierre Bradot on the extreme right-hand side of your screen, into the side of Adrian Schimpf. I'm sure that will be looked at. Brilliant car control from Adrian. He keeps the car pointing in the right direction and manages to only lose that one singular place. However, I'm sure that will be looked at the end of the race. Florian Kuubler is trying to escape the grasp of the 107 of Christian Ricciarini. Back to the lead, I would say Torelli has extended that margin. Yes, he has, up to 4 tenths. David Pouget is getting a little bit closer towards that top two. Pierre Bradot has clearly been hiding pace, because as soon as he got in front of Adrian Schimpf at the front of that pack, he's just started to escape. The two Milan competition cars still glued together. Nicolas Millar the lead of the two, with Jordi Palomera sat there in 5th place. Damiano Pichetti isn't really going away either. He's still sat there in 6th, trying to take up the lead in the Challengers Cup. The rest of the field all working their way down towards turn 1, and it's anyone's guess what order they will arrive in. Adrian Schimpf now looking towards the outside of Pierre Bradot. He's doing everything he can to work his way around and brake as late as possible. Isn't quite going to work. Florian Kuubler had to go very, very defensive as Christian Ricciarini had a little look up the inside. That has compromised his corner and brought Thomas Pekar back into the mix. And Thomas has really been on a comeback drive since Budapest. He was very, very quick indeed at Hungaroring. And since then, the results have been there or thereabouts, and he's looking to follow up on some good results this season by rounding out the season potentially with a couple of top 10 places. But Christian Ricciarini is doing everything he can to deny it. Florian Kuubler is caught up in that battle as well. That's allowing Pierre Bradot and Adrian Schimpf to battle away from them. A lock up on the inside rear of Adrian Schimpf. And have we seen a change of position? Yes, we have. So Jordi Palomera back in front of Nicolas Millar. Is that the team game? Is Nicolas Millar now trying to defend from Damiano Puccetti, allowing Jordi Palomera just to maintain the Challengers Cup lead, or was it a mistake from Nicolas Millar? I guess we will never know. That is back to the leader, Gabriele Torelli, down towards the tight left-hander at Locaia, and is still in front of Anthony Girardo. However, it's only by a tenth now, and David Pouget isn't too far away. He is closing, but with, 7 minutes and 40 seconds plus that all-important one lap, we may see that change. Alejandro Schimpf is trying to work his way up through the order as well. Florian Kuubler has dropped down another place by the looks of that. Let's have a look. Florian Kuubler is under pressure now. It looks like Christian Ricciarini has worked his way in front. Has Thomas Pekar done the same? We look towards the final corner and wait for the camera to pick it up. Yes, Thomas Pekar has worked his way through and past Florian Kuubler. So Christian Ricciarini and Thomas Pekar up into 9th and 10th. Just as I said, Thomas will be looking for a top 10. Now we're seeing Alexander Albui trying to work his way through and past Alejandro Schimpf. Alex Finkelstein is in on the mix as well. The lead battle working its way through the S's. Gabriele Torelli still just about in the lead from Anthony Girardo, completely unaware of the chaos that is ensuing behind. Christian Ricciarini up 6 places from where he started. Luca Franca down 21. Unfortunately, that will be due to the incident we saw on lap 1. However, he is trying to carve his way back up through the order. But this top 6, unless they look quite deeply into their rearview mirror, will have no idea the battle that is ensuing for 7th place. Jordi Palomera still sat there in 4th. Nicolas Millar just helping him out, ushering him forward and hopefully away from Damiano Puccetti. But 3 cars all fighting over 4th place at the moment. What of the battle in the background? I can only assume Pierre Bradot remains where he is in 7th, with Adrian Schimpf in 8th. Christian Ricciarini was really the one to watch, because he was fighting away with Thomas Pekar, Florian Kuubler, Alex Finkelstein, Alejandro Schimpf, as well as Alexander Albui. I think Jacopo Giuseppe Ximenez was in on the mix, so too was Guillaume Meo. And then you end up back with some of the Racers Cup drivers, and René Stiemetz still in the lead of that one, down in towards the hairpin. We potentially see a very, very late move there from Damiano Puccetti. I look up from the screen and see him screaming up the inside late on the brakes. A big, big lock-up on the rear. Couldn't get the car slowed down. Thankfully, Nicolas Millar had the foresight to spot that in his rear-view mirror. Let's get another look. So down in towards the hairpin. Damiano Puccetti late on the brakes. You can see the car squirming around and can't quite get it slowed down and meet the apex all at the same time, meaning very briefly he was up into 5th place and back onto the coattails of the car up the road. However, it didn't quite work for him, so that means he's got a bit more work to do, does Damiano Puccetti. Jordi Palomera will breathe a sigh of relief, and now we might see a change for the lead. Anthony Girardo late on the brakes, dives up the inside. Gabriele Torelli gives him a boot in the rear bumper. However, Girardeau up into the lead of the race. That will be music to the ears of David Pouget, meaning that Gabriele Torelli, as the points are, say if the points were live, that means that Torelli wouldn't take as big a bite out of David Pouget's Clio Cup Europe title at the moment. But Torelli, he's lost that place early, but he's already trying to fight back with 4.5 minutes plus 1 lap to go. We could see that extra lap be put to good use here because Girardeau forcing him wide. Torelli will look for the cutback on the exit of Seat as they work their way down towards Worth, the uphill left and right-handed chicane. And Torelli, since getting into second place, has still got a bit of work to do for the moment because he's not only got to reapply himself from defence to attack, he also then needs to keep an eye on his rearview mirror because all of this battling that he's doing is bringing David Pouget ever closer. He's only 7/10, well, 3/4 of a second away from that top two at the moment. Down towards the hairpin they will go once again, and Girardeau with his indicator on, almost to indicate that Torelli should take that position back. Not exactly sure how they are communicating so well in that car, but Anthony Girardeau for Milan Competition and Gabriele Torelli for Ragoni Course clearly working together very slightly, not wanting to lose time if they've seen David Pouget is getting closer. Maybe a racing driver's agreement there. There's a bit going on in the background. Do we have a problem for Alex Finkelstein because he's dropped further and further down the field at the moment? He's down into 11th place now, and he's just lost another position to Florian Koubler has gone through. I think so too was Alejandro Schimpf and maybe Alex Alboui as well. We'll keep an eye on the timing screen for it to update. Back over the line goes Pierre Bradot and Adrian Schimpf. We may see another change for the lead once again because Girardeau looking to the outside after letting Gabriele Torelli take the lead on the lap prior. It meant that he had the work to do once again. What's going on? Because it looked like Torelli was classified down in 6th place. This is the move we saw on the lap prior. So Girardeau up the inside of Gabriele Torelli, then the contact between the pair of them, and then we see them swap back around, indicated by Anthony Girardeau. He just flicked his left indicator on to let Gabriele Torelli know he is more than entitled to dive to the inside and almost pushing each other through. Was it just a very slight lapse in timing? Yes, it was, because Torelli is back up into the lead of the race. I didn't know whether a penalty had been applied as we were watching, but Torelli is still leading the race from Girardeau. David Pouget has dropped further back, so clearly Girardeau just wanted to go at leading the race to see if he would be quicker up there. Torelli is evidently the slightly quicker driver in the clean air. Girardeau will follow suit. David Pouget in third. Jordi Palomera still sat there in 4th place with his Milan Competition teammate Nicolas Milan just sat behind. Damiano Pichetti in 6th. Pierre Bradot, quite the jump back, 5.8 seconds, best part of 6 seconds back is Pierre Bradot in 7th. Alejandro Schimpf, pardon me, is down in 13th. The first of the Schimpfs, Adrian Schimpf, is in 8th place. Alex Finkelstein, yes, he has dropped further down, right down in 18th place. So Alex Finkelstein, after starting in 6th place, he wanted to keep an eye on Florian Venturi. Whereabouts is he? He's in 20th place. So Alex Finkelstein, he's still in the running for the Racers' Cup. However, his main rival at the moment in the Challengers' Cup, pardon me. So Alex Finkelstein in the Challengers' Cup, he needed a good point-scoring round over Florian Venturi, but Florian is down in 20th place at the moment, but only 2 points or 2 places back from Alex Finkelstein. Now we see Nicolas Milan looking back up the inside of Jordi Palomera. They head down towards turn 1 side by side. Torelli goes defensive once again from Anthony Girardeau. Milan does get in front of his teammate Palomera. Damiano Pichetti will have the best seats in the house for watching that. Gabriele Torelli again having to go defensive from Anthony Girardeau. David Pouget just doesn't quite have the pace. He's dropped back ever more now with a 1.6 second margin up to those top two. Jordi Palomera in 5th, Damiano Pichetti in 6th, followed then by Pierre Bradot and Adrian Schimpf. They are all the sort of 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th are the top 4 in the Challengers Cup. Nicolas Milan, having got in front of Jordi Palomera, is under pressure, but a mistake from Jordi that pushes him wide, and that allows Damiano Pichetti to work his way in front and, more importantly, into the lead of the Challengers Cup. But how long that will last is anyone's guess, because Jordi Palomera looking to the inside at Worth. He dives up the inside, late on the brakes. Is there contact between the pair of them? Unfortunately, they jump out of screen. There potentially was. They're still side by side as they go up the hill. Damiano Puccetti will have to work for this one, as we will be going on to the final lap next time by, but the momentum carried all the way around the outside. Jordi Palomeras remains in the lead of the Challengers Cup. Brilliant move from Jordi Palomeras, but then potentially a slightly better run, and onto the brakes is Damiano Puccetti. He will try and make it work around the outside through Lecaia. That will turn back to the inside for Bank Sabadell, and it will be Damiano Puccetti that will remain in 5th place and remain in the lead of the Challengers Cup as we head on to the final lap in a few moments' time. But diving back up the inside is Jordi Palomeras, and is he going to make it work? He was later on the brakes but had to jump out of the move. He will look to the inside again towards the final corner. If he makes it through, they will be side by side all the way down the start-finish straight. Here they come, absolutely door handle to door handle. They cross the line to go on to the final lap of the race. Gabriele Torelli still leading, followed by Anthony Girardo, who has a little look to the inside. A little look becomes a bigger look. Almost contact between the pair of them. A slight overlap, but can't quite get the move done, can Girardo. David Bouget remains in 3rd. Nicolas Milin, newly inherited 4th, will be picking up good points there. What a 5th and 6th place. We look in the background. Damiano Puccetti has to take to the escape road. Will he rejoin in front of Jordi Palomeras? Yes, he will. Pierre Bradot remains in 7th place. Adrian Schimpf in 8th. Alex Finkelstein is still sat there in 18th, ahead of Florian Venturi in 20th place, so doing everything he wanted to do. I was chatting to him in the paddock, and he said all he needed to do was finish well and finish in front of Venturi, which he's doing at the moment. Another big look up the inside from Anthony Girardo on the final lap of the race, trying to dispose of Gabriele Torelli and take the win here at race 1 in Catalunya. Last time through, Girardo did lap quicker than Torelli and is really starting to apply that pressure. The tyres will be screaming out for a break as they've been fighting all race long. David Puget will be keeping his fingers crossed for a mistake between the pair of them. Jordi Palomera has been promoted up into 5th place for the moment. We look out the window to try and confirm that, and yes, he is in front of Damiano Puccetti. Down in towards the left-hand hairpin we go once again, and they remain in the order that they are. Alex Finkelstein has dropped right the way down through the order, down in 26th place. Florian Venturi up into 19th, so maybe a mistake from Alex Finkelstein. It's been a rotten race 1 for Alex. However, Gabriele Torelli still in the lead just about from Girardo. Girardo's thrown everything at it. They go through the penultimate corner, down towards the final corner now. A tricky braking zone, trying to pitch the car in all at the same time. And Gabriele Torelli will come towards the line to take the checkered flag and take the first race win of the weekend. Anthony Girardo crosses the line to finish in 2nd. David Puget finishes a very, very respectable 3rd and scores some good points, trying to keep Gabriele Torelli at bay in Clio Cup Europe. Jordi Palomera does indeed take what is 5th place, and with that, the Challengers Cup win, Damiano Puccetti finishes in 6th place overall and 2nd in the Challengers Cup. Adrian Schimpf finishes 7th overall and 3rd in the Challengers Cup, rounding out that podium. Stefan Folderman got the win in the Racers Cup. There is Gabriele Torelli, I'm sure a very, very happy man indeed, as he adds another win to his ever-increasing tally. It's been a brilliant, brilliant season from the 2023 Clio Cup Mid-Europe champion, and he is doing everything he can to make it 2 championships, trying to win Clio Cup Europe. So too is David Puget, a brilliant season from the Clio Cup Series champion, and it must have been a problem for Alex Finkelstein because he jumps on the brakes, he takes the checkered flag. However, he's jumped on the brakes and stopped on the start-finish line. There's a little bit of steam coming out of that car, potentially from the brakes, that's what I hope. And diving out of the car as quickly as possible is Alex. Closes the door, and yeah, he's not very happy with that, as unfortunately he lifts the bonnet and ever more steam comes out of that car. So hopefully all is well and there's no sort of major mechanical issues, and we can see the new father to Noah out in race 2 tomorrow, walking away from the car, shaking his head. Hopefully Alex is all okay. But Gabriele Torelli, again, another fabulous performance from the Italian driver, and another fabulous performance for Ragoni Corse. And there is Damiano Puccetti joining him alongside number 43 machine. Damiano, his teammate, clearly over the moon, because that's 2 wins in theory for Ragoni Corse, because whilst Gabriele Torelli has won the race overall, Damiano Puccetti. Actually, no, he didn't. He finished second in the Challengers Cup, but 2 podiums, put it that way, for Agoni Course. A good way to enter the final race weekend for the Clio Cup Series. David Puccetti, he will be hoping for a little bit more tomorrow, but for the moment he's done everything he needs to, managing that gap to Gabriele Torelli. And in terms of Clio Cup Europe, yeah, David Puccetti came into this weekend on 610 points. Gabriele Torelli came in on 569, so whilst it's not a completely impossible task for Torelli, David Puccetti will have to have a very poor race tomorrow if Gabriele wishes to win Clio Cup Europe. In terms of Clio Cup Europe Challengers Cup, that's already been signed, sealed and sent for Adrian Schimpf. He is the Clio Cup Europe Challengers Cup champion. Clio Cup Europe Racers Cup still up for grabs. Luca Franca won't be very impressed with that one because he came into this weekend on 235 points. Rene Stiemetz came in on 219, but Luca found himself pointing backwards at turn 1 on the first lap of the race, meaning that Rene Stiemetz, if he finished in front, which I believe he did, will have closed that gap in the Clio Cup Europe Racers Cup. Clio Cup España, Adrian Schimpf extends his margin up at the top ahead of Alejandro Schimpf. Adrian 314 as he came into this weekend, Alejandro on 284. But there is Gabriele Torelli, jumped out of his Regoni Course Clio Cup car and is celebrating with the team, over the moon with another win, following up a good performance at Imola just a couple of weeks ago. David Puccetti picks up a little bit more silverware as well, finishing 3rd place. I'm sure he can't be too disappointed with that one. He's got out of the car, he's chatted with the team, and I think Gerardo, not a bad execution from him. Whilst he started on pole position, finishing 2nd, that brings with it a good haul of points as well, and another trophy for him. There is David Puccetti chatting away with his team. GPA Racing, a team owned by David Puccetti, and runs a very successful Clio Cup and sort of GT4 among other disciplined campaign. GPA Racing really do know what they're doing when it comes to preparing a car. So too do all of the other teams here in the Clio Cup Series as well. There is Anthony Gerardo. Pardon me, that is Gabriele Torelli. So this is what happened throughout the race. We saw Luca Franca pointing backwards, and then the safety car came out. At the time, we were unaware as to why. It was because Orn had deposited his car on the exit of Repsol. Torelli picked up the lead nice and early. As the safety car came out, it meant that he remained in the lead. As the race got back underway, Gerardo did everything he could to try and contain him and keep himself in 2nd place, and potentially putting that pressure onto Gabriele Torelli. There is Gerardo once again, just doing everything he can to maybe force a mistake. The 2 Milan competition cars fighting away harder and harder. Nicolas Milan that time diving his way up through the inside of Jordi Palomeras, and then we saw the mistake from Pierre Bradot just as he grabbed the grass, couldn't get the car slowed down, and it meant that Adrian Schimpf got elbowed wide, and they did swap places. There is Jordi Palomeras back in front of Nicolas Milan. However, after we saw the 2 Milan competition drivers swap around, Damiano Puccetti dived on the brakes, couldn't get the car slowed down, and it meant that he picked up that place. All of that contained into, what, 25 minutes plus 1 lap. Best thing is, we get to do it all again tomorrow. So Gabriele Torelli did indeed take the win. Gerardo finishes in 2nd, David Puccetti in 3rd, Nicolas Milan in 4th, Jordi Palomeras takes the Challengers Cup win in 5th. And then it is Damiano Puccetti, Pierre Bradot, Thomas Becker, Christian Ricciarini and Adrian Schimpf rounding out in 10th place. So the podium, I'm sure, will be getting ready in a few moments' time. But that was race 1 of the Clio Cup Series here at Catalunya, and what a race it was. That will set the tone for the rest of this weekend, I am sure. So we peek down towards the podium, and the drivers are already up there ready to take the podium. Whereabouts did the rest of the drivers work their way out? Georg Rostance rounding out your top 30. I was keeping an eye on him throughout the race. Unfortunately, he didn't quite have the pace to catch up to Samuel Chalin. But the podium is being readied. Alex Finkelstein eventually got classified in 35th place, unfortunately. So Alex, not quite the weekend he was expecting. Vinny Shunker was the other car that we saw come into the pit lane and retired throughout that race. And I can see David Puccetti in the driver preparation area, ready to take to the podium. And naturally it will be done in reverse order. So we wait for the announcer to obviously let us know that we are going to get the podium underway. In the background we've had a couple of cars take to the circuit. That will be Formula 4 Spain that is currently out on circuit. They're working their way round onto their grid for their first race of the weekend. And what a brilliant weekend Napa have put on, and Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya. Of course, we are here for the Napa racing weekend, the Clio Cup Series, joined by Formula 4 Spain and Euro Cup 3, and it is a very, very brilliant event. Looking around, you can see the grid is getting more and more full, but obviously we've got plenty of guests here as well, and it's brilliant to see how many people have come down for what is quite a late on motor racing meeting here at Catalunya, as the podium is just having the final touches made. I'm sure we will get the drivers onto the podium and get the race 1 podium underway very, very shortly. So as the podium is underway, we've had David Piget take 3rd place, followed then by Anthony Girardo, and there is the man that can't stop winning, Gabriele Torelli. Another brilliant job, and he works his way onto the top step, joined by a team's representative. Anthony Girardo has brought his child up onto the podium as well. Now we'll have the national anthem of the winning driver. So there we go, brilliant job from our top 3, Anthony Girardo, David Piget and Gabriele Torelli. And what a brilliant way to open up a weekend's worth of racing here at the Napa Racing Weekend at Catalunya, with David Piget doing everything he can to keep Gabriele Torelli at bay in the championship. All will be revealed tomorrow. Join me once again at 14:40 local time, where we will get another 25-minute plus 1 lap race back underway. The silverware is being handed out, and most importantly, there is Gabriele Torelli once again with another trophy to add to his trophy cabinet. He'll need a big one come the end of tomorrow. But the final race, again, like I say, kicks off at 14:40. Join me again, once again, at the Napa Racing Weekend, and all will be revealed in terms of the crowns still up for grabs in the Clio Cup Series. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.